Beth Dutton has been silent for weeks. She has not called her brother. She has not texted him. She has not even asked about him. But in the new Season 2 trailer, everything changes in one small moment. Beth picks up her phone. Her hands are shaking. And for the first time in a long time, she calls Kayce. This one moment might be the biggest turning point for the entire Dutton family this season. So what made Beth finally break her silence? What does she say to Kayce? And why does this phone call feel like it could change everything on the ranch? Let's break it down. To understand why this call matters so much, we need to go back to where Season 1 left us. Beth and Kayce have never had an easy relationship. They love each other, but they also carry years of pain between them. Old fights, old wounds, things that were said and never taken back. By the end of last season, the distance between them felt bigger than ever. Beth was dealing with her own battles, trying to protect the ranch and fight off people who wanted to take it from her family. Kayce, on the other hand, was pulled in a different direction, torn between his loyalty to the ranch and his own growing family. The two of them stopped talking, not because they stopped caring, but because both were too proud, too hurt, or too busy fighting their own battles to reach out first. That silence is what makes this new trailer so powerful. When we see Beth staring at her phone, hesitating before she calls, it tells us something important. This is not just a normal phone call. This is Beth finally putting her pride aside. She has always been the tough one, the one who never backs down and never admits she is wrong. So watching her make the first move, watching her be the one to reach out, shows us just how much things have changed for her. Something must have happened that made her realize she cannot fix everything alone. Maybe it is a new threat to the ranch. Maybe it is fear of losing what is left of her family. Whatever the reason, this call is Beth choosing family over pride, and that is a huge shift for her character. The trailer does not show us the full conversation, but it gives us just enough to feel the weight of the moment. We see Beth's face, tense and unsure. We hear the phone ringing, and then silence right before the screen cuts away. This kind of teaser is designed to make us ask questions. Will Kayce even answer? Will he be angry that she waited so long to call? Or will he simply be relieved to hear her voice again? The uncertainty is what makes this trailer so exciting for fans. We are not just watching a preview. We are watching the start of a story that could reshape the entire season. Now let's look closer at what actually happens once that phone starts ringing, because this is where the trailer really pulls us in. The camera stays tight on Beth's face as she waits for Kayce to pick up. Every second feels heavy. You can see her jaw tighten, her eyes flicker with doubt, like she is already regretting the call before it even connects. This is not the confident, sharp-tongued Beth we are used to seeing boss everyone around at the ranch. This is a different side of her, one that feels almost nervous, almost human in a way we rarely get to see. Then the trailer cuts to Kayce. He is out on the land, working, focused on something else entirely. When his phone buzzes in his pocket, he glances at the screen and pauses. His expression is hard to read. Is it surprise? Is it hesitation of his own? For a brief second, it looks like he might not even answer. That pause is important, because it shows Kayce is not just going to forgive and forget the moment he hears her voice. Whatever happened between them clearly left a mark on him too. And this trailer wants us to feel that tension before any words are even spoken. When the call finally connects, the trailer keeps things quiet. No big dramatic music, no shouting, just a simple exchange of breath and silence before the scene cuts away completely. This choice is smart because it leaves everything open to interpretation. We do not know if this call ends in tears, in anger, or in relief. We only know that something is about to shift. The fact that the writers chose to hide the actual conversation tells us this moment is meant to be saved, built up, and paid off later in the season instead of being spoiled early in a trailer. What makes this scene so gripping is not the action. It is the emotion sitting underneath it. Beth and Kayce have always shown love through actions rather than words, protecting the ranch, protecting their father, protecting each other in silent ways. So watching them actually try to talk, to use words instead of actions, feels like new territory for both characters. It signals that this season might finally force them to deal with their feelings directly instead of avoiding them like they always have in the past. Once the call ends, or maybe never fully begins, the trailer shifts focus to what this moment could mean for the people around Beth and Kayce. This is where things get really interesting, Because a phone call between two siblings never stays between just two siblings in this family. Everything on the ranch is connected. Every decision, every conversation, every small crack in a relationship ends up affecting everyone else living and working there. Think about Rip first. He has been Beth's rock through everything, the one person who sees her at her worst and stays anyway. If Beth is finally softening enough to reach out to Kayce, that likely means she has been talking to Rip about it too. Maybe he is the one who pushed her to make the call in the first place. Rip has always understood that Beth's anger is often just a mask for how much she is hurting underneath, and if anyone could convince her to swallow her pride, it would be him. This small moment might actually reveal just how much influence Rip has on healing Beth from the inside, instead of just protecting her from the outside. Then there is John Dutton, the man who built this family and has spent his whole life trying to keep it together, even as it keeps pulling apart. If he finds out Beth and Kayce are finally speaking again, it could bring him a small sense of peace in a season that is likely filled with new threats to the ranch. John has always wanted his children to stand together, not against each other, especially with so many outside forces trying to take Yellowstone away from them. A single phone call will not fix years of tension, but it could be the first sign John has been waiting for, proof that his family still has a chance to come back together when it matters most. And we cannot forget Kayce's own family, his wife Monica and his son Tate. Kayce has spent so much energy trying to balance life on the reservation with his loyalty to the ranch, and this call might force him to make choices he has been avoiding. If Beth is stepping back into his life more seriously, it could create new tension at home, or it could actually bring Kayce closer to fully choosing his role within the Dutton family again. Either way, this one small phone call sends ripples through every relationship in the story, proving that in this family, nothing ever stays quiet or simple for long. Now let's talk about where all of this might actually lead, because a trailer like this is not just showing us a moment, it is planting a seed for the rest of the season. And if we look closely at the way this call was teased, there are a few directions the story could realistically take from here. The first possibility is a slow and careful reconciliation. Instead of one big emotional scene where everything gets fixed instantly, the season might show Beth and Kayce rebuilding their bond step by step. A short call now could lead to a longer conversation later, maybe even a face-to-face meeting where old wounds finally get addressed instead of buried again. This would fit the show's usual style, since this family rarely fixes things quickly. They tend to circle each other for a while before finally being honest. The second possibility is that this call actually opens up new conflict instead of solving old ones. Maybe Beth is not calling just to reconnect emotionally. Maybe she needs Kayce's help because of a new threat facing the ranch, something bigger than their personal issues. If that is the case, their relationship could end up being tested again almost immediately, forcing them to work together even while old feelings are still unresolved. This would actually make for a more realistic story, since real families rarely heal cleanly, especially under constant pressure. There is also a chance this call becomes a turning point for Beth specifically. She has spent so much of the show pushing people away to protect herself, using anger as a shield instead of dealing with her pain directly. If she is finally choosing to reach out first, this could be the beginning of real growth for her character. We might see a version of Beth who is starting to let go of some of that armor, even if just a little, especially if the ranch faces new dangers that require the whole family to trust each other again. Whatever direction the writers take, one thing is clear. This phone call is not a small detail buried in the trailer. It is a signal. It tells us that Season 2 is going to dig deeper into family, forgiveness, and the cost of staying silent for too long. Beth and Kayce's relationship has always been one of the most emotional threads in this story, and this moment proves the writers are not done exploring it yet. So the real question is this: when the full season finally drops, will this call be the beginning of healing, or just the calm before a much bigger storm? Let us know what you think will happen down in the comments. That phone call between Beth and Kayce might only last a few seconds on screen, but the meaning behind it stretches far beyond that moment. It shows us a family that is still fighting to stay connected, even after everything that has torn them apart over the years. Ranches can be rebuilt, threats can be handled, enemies can be defeated, but the bond between siblings is something that takes real effort to protect. This trailer reminds us that even the toughest, Most guarded people in this story still need each other, no matter how hard they try to prove otherwise. What makes this show so gripping is not just the drama around the ranch, it is the way every character is forced to face their own flaws through their relationships with each other. Beth's pride, Kayce's distance, John's constant need to hold everything together, all of it comes from the same place: a deep fear of losing the family they have already sacrificed so much for. So when we see Beth make that call, it is not just a plot twist. It is a quiet moment of honesty in a story usually filled with power struggles and outside threats. As we wait for the full season to arrive, this small trailer moment gives us a lot to think about. It reminds us that healing does not always come with big dramatic speeches. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as picking up the phone. Whether this call leads to forgiveness, more conflict, or a mix of both, one thing feels certain: this season is going to dig deep into what family really means for the Duttons, and how far they are willing to go to protect it. If you are as excited as we are to see how this story unfolds, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you do not miss any updates, breakdowns, or theories as more details come out. And before you go, drop a comment below and tell us what you think this phone call really means. Do you think Beth and Kayce are finally on the road to healing? Or is this just the calm before a much bigger storm hits the ranch? We will see you in the next video. This is where we bring everything together, because at the end of the day, this trailer is not really about a ranch or land, or even the outside threats trying to tear the Duttons apart. It is about family, and how hard it can be to hold one together when pride, pain, and silence get in the way. Beth picking up that phone might seem like a small moment, but in a show built on power, control, and toughness, choosing vulnerability is actually one of the boldest moves any character can make. Think about how far Beth has come to even get to this point. She has spent seasons building walls around herself, using sharp words and cold looks to keep people at a distance, especially the people she loves the most. That is often how pain works in real life too. The people we care about the deepest are sometimes the hardest to be open with, because the fear of getting hurt again feels bigger than the fear of losing them completely. So when Beth finally picks up that phone, it is not just a TV moment, it is something a lot of us can actually relate to, and that is really why this show continues to pull people in season after season. Yes, there are land battles, business deals, and outside enemies, but underneath all of that noise is a story about a broken family trying to figure out how to stay whole. This trailer teases that struggle perfectly, giving us just enough hope to believe things might get better, while still leaving enough uncertainty to keep us anxious for what is coming next. As we wait for Season 2 to fully arrive, this small trailer clip leaves us with a bigger question to sit with. Can a single phone call really begin to heal years of distance and hurt? Or is this just the first small step in a much longer journey? Either way, one thing feels certain: the Dutton family is far from finished testing just how strong their bond really is. If this breakdown helped you see the trailer in a new way, do not forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates, theories, and deep dives as we get closer to the new season. And before you go, let us know in the comments, do you think this phone call is the start of Beth and Kayce finally healing, or just the calm before an even bigger storm hits the ranch? Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.